Was geht, meine lieben Freunde? Willkommen zurück zu einer von Fata Morgana, Requiem für Innocence. Wir sind heute in der 16. Folge angelangt. Letztes Mal kamen die Bandits und Jacob hat jetzt den Plan ausgefüllt, die Revolution zu machen und den Wasser zu stürzen. Ja, da würde ich sagen, gehen wir direkt in die Jugend. Sagen Wasche. We can go. Hear me, my fellow citizens who live in suffering at the hands of your supposed Lord. Within me flows the blood of the previous Lord. I am the rightful heir. Behold, the Barnier's golden ring, proof that I am of noble birth. Victims of this terrible tyrant. The time has come to start anew, and I shall be the one to lead you down that path. You poor, the hungry, the deprived, all of you stand with me. Before we commenced our strike on the Lord's Manor, I gave a little speech in the city square. But because we actually needed them to take up arms and fight with us. Not because, but because we need to make a public proclamation of our position before overthrowing all the Lord. You need to know we were not merely opponents of the Lord, but proponents of the common man. That we had a legitimate cause and legitimate claim to power. So, if we were to leave them in the dark, it would only sow confusion and unrest when word of the Lord's death came out. They had to see us as their liberators, not a greater evil swooping in to squash a lesser one. The Lord has been squeezing everything he could out of them for years, sucking them dry, so I didn't expect anyone to actually have the willpower to join us. The important thing was that they knew who I was, but I had underestimated them. A slow trickle of people stood to join us, and by the time we were at the city's edge, we had accumulated dozens of additional men, transforming our little uprising into something of a much greater scale. The people have been waiting day in and day out for someone to take up their banner and lead the way. It didn't matter that the one holding the banner did so under false pretenses.
Intruders! We're under attack!
Yeah. Get him! Sieg. With the added support, our forces defense is practically useless. Townsfolk flooded the property, overwhelming even fully armored soldiers. Farmers turned the tools of their trade into deadly weapons, plunging all manner of spiked implements into guards' necks. It didn't take long for the pungent stench of blood to fill the air. Panicked servants scrambled away from the chaos as quickly as they could manage. And I made my way through the corridors to the Great Hall, where the Lord presumably waited, Gretchen at my side.
We're here to relieve you of your head, Lord.
Have these savages removed from my property immediately?
Yes, my lord.
I guess I shouldn't be surprised defenses aren't heaviest here. Watch yourself, Gratian.
You can shove that consent right back where it came from, kid. I ain't about to let a bunch of mooks do me in. No number of these fancy little fuckers is enough to take me down.
Is there any situation capable of tempering that big mouth of yours? Then Requiem of Innocence is mehr gefeiert als in ganz Fata Morgana. You can handle all the guards then. And take care of the Lord!
You wanna take the price out for yourself, eh, kid? Normally I tell you to piss off, but I give you this one. It's what the people would want besides.
Thank you for understanding.
But remember, if you screw this pooch, I'll make sure you're the laughing stock of the whole city.
Don't worry. I will come back with his head. The fact that Barnier was still, he suggested he knew he had nowhere safer to flee to. Unlike the slave revolt 3 years prior, we were entirely on the offensive this time. He didn't appear particularly perturbed about his predicament, though he likely had little doubt he would make it through the day safely. I knew Barnier was skilled with a sword, and despite all Gratian's talk, the guards he kept by his side were hardly going to be third rate. They would be the best of the best. Praying Gratian would be able to hold them off long enough, I weaved my way through the wall of armed men, marching straight for Lord Barnier. He slowly drew his sword, readying himself for combat. Well, imagine that, it's you again. And it seems you had died off in a hole somewhere. Hate to disappoint you, but staying alive is one of my few talents. How fitting for a filthy maggot. Well, I hope you're ready to be devoured by that very maggot. Oh shit!
Yeah.
It would seem your tongue has gotten rather sharp since we last met. Though I need to remind you how this played out 3 years ago, do I? Boah, Digga, geiles CG. Your blade will never get anywhere near my head. Nah. I will, however, give you a good reminder of precisely how feeble and worthless you slum rats are. Within me flowed the blood of the royal family, direct descendants of God himself, while your blood is made from the refuse of the earth. We are no more the same species as a worm as a wolf. Your very being in my presence is a slight of the highest order. I think you'll find our blood is much more similar than you think. When I take that ugly head off your shoulders, we can both get a good look at how equally filthy your blood is to mine. I'm not the boy I was 3 years ago. I drag you down from your throne on high and show you for the dregs of the earth you really are. You would dare insult me, cur? We traded strikes, going on offense and defense in roughly equal parts, the trash talk been fighting. Barnier was quick on his feet and quicker with his blade. When I attacked, he swayed effortlessly out of its path, like a stalk of wheat in the wind. When he attacked, he was like a typhoon. He had a prowess that could never be overcome with brute strength. However, I had not spent the last 3 years idle. While I could hardly imitate the refined swordsmanship of a trained nobleman, I had a much better grasp on how and when to most efficiently put my weight into a swing, how to maintain the ideal amount of distance between us, and there was one other key difference. I had no intention of running. Either I would take off his head, or I would end up a bloody heap on the floor. There was no other way this battle could end. Think about what you're doing, slum rat. Think about who you point a blade to at. An attack on me is an attack on God. It is an act of unspeakable sacrilege. Ha! Little late to take the moral high ground. I have the iron. You dead afraid of dying? Then put your tail between your legs and start running. You insolent. I am the rightful heir of the Barnier family. The blood of the kings of old flows in my veins, and I am the ultimate ruler of this land and my people. I would never consent to turn my back to a worthless rat. Don't say I didn't give you the choice. That just means we keep on doing this until one of us is dead.
Stay hydrated, but
Im Kaff muss man auch mal ein bisschen was trinken.
Ja.
Die ganzen Screams, Alter.
Denkst du, Mihawk und Zauber werden auch so Trinkpause machen?
Also, diese Pfeile so, ey, ich nehme meine 5 Minuten Trinkpause.
Ja, warte mal, wir haben Akainu und Aokiji 10 Tage lang gekämpft, ohne zu essen und zu trinken. Die müssen Pausen gemacht haben.
Ja, ich
So wie
glaube,
Drogi und Bogi.
Ja.
Bogi.
ja, entweder so oder es wird so exaggerated, weißt du?
Ich finde es eh lost, so, dass so, ja, 10 Tage so lange gekämpft und dann das längste Fight, den man onscreen sieht, ist so 10 Stunden oder so eine Nacht. Ja,
Ja, auch von Ace und Junbei. 3 Tage oder so.
ja.
Every swing, every step, every slight shift of balance had a little more weight than the last. But unlike last time, where the pressure had only served to light a fire under me, it was now building up inside me, growing, taking form. I could now perfectly trace the path of its blade dancing through the air. Back then, the only advantage I had over Barnier was physical strength and pluck. But things were very different now. He was agile, but I could keep up with him. No, I was beginning to overtake him.
Let's go.
Gar bessere Fight Animation als Tibet.
Ja.
Nein, wie dieser Frame sieht besser aus als alles, was bisher Tibet kam. Ha! Allow me to borrow your words, if you would. Perhaps you should save this night yapping for when you have the skill to back it up. Okay, cocky, insignificant rat. You treacherous scurp! The Lord swung down at me with all his strength, but I managed to parry his strike with little trouble. In that moment I had undeniable power. Power. That's right. I wasn't powerless.
Das war der letzte Folge, ne, was du so gesagt hast.
Yeah. I could never let myself be powerless again. Ever. And if I couldn't manage that, then I deserved to rot here as the weak, worthless man I was.
Sorry, dass ich unterbreche. Ich musste gerade an dein erster Steins-Skit, oder die ersten paar Steins-Skit Zero Let's Plays denken, wo du nicht vorgelesen hast, was die Charaktere nicht gesagt haben, weißt du? Jeff und Fata gerade einfach so durchskippen, ohne vorzulesen. Das Let's Play. So. Oh, krass.
Ja.
Die sagen irgendwas, es steht irgendwas und so. Boah! Und dann machst du dann weiter.
When I see Mercy.
Ja. Vor allem, du bist dann komplett, du hast keine Zeit der Welt, dich nochmal zu wiederholen, ruhig zu fassen und dann so, Scheiße, Digga.
Just here now to take out not only the Lord, but the me of old as well. The helpless, impotent boy who couldn't even protect the ones he loved. That's exactly what I do. I'll show you that I'm not who I used to be. That I'm not that sniffling little boy from 3 years ago. Before long, Barnier was coming up again for a wall. The impudent worm! We were both dripping hard, dripping with sweat. Dripping with sweat. Er seemed to waver like there was a fire burning between the two left, von dem ich mich so weiß, war ein bisschen scheiße. Ja, hör, ich bin leicht erkältet. Alter. Alter, Freund, tut mir leid, wenn ich. Ja, Let's go. If I fueled by our own souls. Whew. And that heat extended to the entire hall, in staunch oblivions of the old winter sitting beyond the walls. Perhaps the room had transformed into one of the halls of hell itself. What's you got now, huh? It's time to end it. The time on this earth has come to an end. Banya! So. I readjusted my grip on my sword, repositioned my feet on the hard floor, lining everything up for my final strike, and then threw a little extra fuel onto the fire before breaking into a dash. However... Wait! Hey, Jaren?
Hä?
What? The last person I expected to see stood there between me and the Lord.
Hat sie doch betrayed.
Ja, mal schauen. Bringing me to an emergency stop just moments before I would have taken off his head. The Jaren! But because I had been running at full speed, I staggered, almost tripping before catching my balance. She reached out, placing her hands on my shoulders, pleading at me with eyes the color of early spring leaves. I could see myself again, reflected in those eyes. Ist die Tochter vom Lord oder was? I shouldn't have stopped. I shouldn't have hesitated for any reason. I should have knocked Jaren to the side and taken off Banier's head. But a torrent of questions rained down on me, entangling me from head to toe like a spider's web. Why? How? What was Jaren doing here? Why did she ask me to stop? Why was she standing between me and Banier? No. The answer hit me like a bolt of lightning. Only 4 people had survived the raid on the brothel. But we had prepared a safe room underground in case of emergency, and the stairs down were hidden beneath the floorboards. Yet Maria had said they were found quickly and most of the girls taken captive. Also hat sie echt?
Ja, wir haben das von Anfang an gecallt.
You didn't. Ja, wirklich.
Wir haben von Anfang an gecallt.
Ja.
Wer wirklich, als sie introduced wurde, bei ihrer Introduction, haben wir von Anfang an gecallt.
No way. Da müsste sie jetzt auch köpfen, Digga. The attack had been well organized and large scale. Could the aroma of the herbs, which was strong enough to be smelled outside, have been some kind of signal?
Vor allem, es ist richtig so Klassiker, so ein Charakter, der so ultra so naiv oder dumm wirkt, ist in Wahrheit so...
Tut nur so.
Ja, das ist der Klassiker.
How could you betray us? What came out of my mouth was not words though, but a pained, visceral wail. But overpowering everything else I felt was paralyzing shock.
Oha.
Oh.
Crazy.
Digga. Wie man hier da hinten auch lächelt, ne?
Ja. Richtige Lächeln.
Ja, ist das jetzt sein Schwert oder ist Baniers? Ich glaube, es ist Baniers, wenn die Hand so geht, ne?
Ja, schau ihn noch an.
Ja, auch Digga. The blade sticking out of Karen's chest pierced my breast. Yo, hat ihn auch erwischt.
Oh.
Our blood flowed down opposite ends of the silver edge, melting into a single stream. Was wollte die, Digga? I had completely lost any sense of what was happening. Left only with crushing bewilderment. Badir let out a deep, bellowing laugh from behind Jared. Sounds resonated through the blade in his hand. I could literally feel him mocking me from inside my body. Why? How could you do that, Jared? No. How could you, Bania? Jared had double-crossed us. As much as I didn't want to believe it, I no longer had much of a choice. She had claimed she thought of us like family, when in reality she was colluding with the Lord. She was the one who had brought ruin upon the brothel. I couldn't recognize what I saw with what I thought I knew. I couldn't forgive that kind of betrayal, and I couldn't even begin to comprehend Banier's actions. How can you hide behind her when she stood up for you? How can you so readily cast her aside? Readily. She saved your life. How could you do this, sir? What are you laughing at? Look at the girl, look at her face. Digga, sie lächelt. Jaren,
Ja.
Der hat zwar von gecallt, aber trotzdem, ich werde dich verfluchen, in der Hölle willst du schmoren. Elende Dämonenblut! Hehehe. What? What, Sharon? How could she possibly smile about any of this? What was going through her head? Had she gone mad? I'd never seen her like this. Wait. Yes, I had. I knew that smile all too well. When the realization struck, an almost painful chill crawled up my spine. What? Jaren was always smiling. Yeah. She could break the ice with anyone in no time. She brought laughter wherever she went. She was endlessly cheerful and sincere to a fault. Flashes of our time together rushed through my mind. She was... Presumably you're thinking the girl's gone mad, but that isn't quite right. No. She's been mad all along. What? Anyone in the right mind keeps smiling after seeing their parents murdered and being sold off? How could anyone in the right mind genuinely believe they don't have a sorrow in the world? Could anyone in the right mind be smiling with a sword sticking out of their chest? I can't. The girl's immeasurable mirth is but a different shade of madness. If she weren't mad, she wouldn't be smiling. Jaren lacks the capacity to comprehend negative emotions. That can't be. She's compassionate, empathetic. There's no way she doesn't understand those emotions. It's called good old-fashioned hard work. She pretends to show compassion, despite the fact that others' pain is incomprehensible to her. No, I refuse. You can't tell me there haven't been moments where you've seen the seams in her act.
Ja, fun.
Yeah. In one of our conversations, I had asked Jaren, have you never felt like you got the short end of the stick? To which she responded, Anne, I don't even know what the stick looks like. Never mind which end is the short one. While I had assumed she's either moved on or her threshold of happiness was on the low side, the scale she weighted it on was outright broken. To tell you the truth, I'm rather fond of the girl. After all, I am a madman myself. I want to shut out his words. To act like it was all crazy blabber, like I didn't see any truth in it. But all the proof I needed was staring right at me. Jaren was smiling, as bright and as genuine as ever. The same smile she always showed us, as blood streamed down the blades in my chest. And still I couldn't believe it. Still I couldn't accept that she had chosen this man over us. You said you thought of us like family, Jared. What happened to that? What happened to all our time together? You would throw it all away for him? Jackie. Remember what I said? Excuse me? That I had my eye on someone. And das war der Barnier. I love you, Jackie. What? And everyone else at the brothel. But there's someone I love even more. You know, I'm not the cleverest girl. I can only see what's right in front of me. How possibly idiotic could I be? She never had an eye for me. Her heart had always belonged to Barnier. I was being presumptuous when I assumed she was talking about me at the festival. Why him, though? Why this man of all people? I about fell to my knees, but I managed to hold my balance long enough to stagger back. When the tip of Barnier's blade slipped from my chest, the blood it had been holding in seemed to rush out all at once. And with it went everything I was feeling. Digga. So. Some evolution that turned out to be red. As a parting gift, I let you in on a little something. The girl was my partner from the very beginning, an informant sent to keep my me apprised of anything that might spark opposition. If someone's amazing with wealth illegitimately, I have them killed, or forced to surrender all their assets to me. If someone says something disagreeable about me, I have them hanged. That scheming wench, Ginevra, was it? Is probably at the bottom of the river by now. But, it would seem I failed to keep everything under control, seeing as you're still breathing and dragging a pack of mindless peasants around with you.
Peasants.
That's only a minor inconvenience, though. All I have to do is take off your head, and then without the leader, they'll regress back to the ignorant swine they are. Now it's time we put this ludicrous revolution to rest. Vanya shifted backward slightly, making to pull the sword from Jaren's chest. She moaned, the sound of mixture of agony and ecstasy. Ecstasy. I thought I could hear the flesh ripping as the blade passed through it. I should have been readying myself to fight again, to banish my sword and take this bastard's head, but I couldn't move an inch. Everything seemed to go distant. My spirit was in the verge of collapse. The fire that had blazed within me had been snuffed out in an instant. Countless memories crumbled before my eyes. The word death flashed through my mind, but it brought with it no fear, only vast hopelessness. Don't you? But as the last of my will threatened to slip from my grasp, I heard a voice. Remember what I said? What? That I want to be together with you. Fuck! Forever. Also er hält das Schwert fest, damit jetzt Jacob ihn köpfen kann. Okay.
Ah. Stell dir vor, er köpft so beide gleichzeitig.
Freunde, Spoiler für Villanzeiger und für als Asschiller für so den.
Also geil.
What do you think you're doing? Let go of the sword, Jaren! Lucy DT came rushing back to me, and a split second later I understood what she meant when she wanted. I didn't give myself a chance to consider whether that road might lead, if I wanted to walk down it, if I would come to regret the decision, or if it was the right thing to do. There was no time to think, only act. I couldn't let this opportunity go, so I shut everything out. My mind, my looming consciousness, my sense of right and wrong, my heart. I shoved aside every possible distraction, rekindled the near extinguished fire of my rage, let out a visceral howl. Er macht's.
Ja, hat er wirklich gemacht?
Boah, and swung. I could feel the impact in my arms as the blade tore through the flesh and bone. Jaren's lifeless body dropped to the floor with a thud.
Okay, doch nicht beide gleichzeitig.
Ja, ich glaub ihn auch. And the tip of my blade ripped a gash in Banier's throat.
Okay, hab ich's ähnlich.
A geyser of blood erupted from his neck. He bent over, ripping in agony, staggered back a few steps before his legs gave out and he dropped to his knees. His eyes were open wider than I thought possible, and he brought both hands up to his throat to stem the flow of blood. But it did little to help, the crimson stream seeping through the gaps in his fingers. With each beat of his heart, the flow surged, sending up sprays of lifeblood. No, impossible. I was right. Noble blood and peasant blood all looked the same. Grunting and groaning, Banier pawed at the floor, evidently still convinced he could scamper off and escape somehow. He left behind a trail of blood as he crawled. It was by all means all rights over. But there was still one last thing to take care of. I marched over to Lord and placed my foot on his back, slamming him down into the ground.
Okay.
Jetzt Kopf. I'm not leaving without your head.
Ja, Mann.
And I owe it to Jaren to reunite you. Wait, if you kill me, the neighboring counts are sure to interfere before you even realize what's happening. But on a sudden, I'll spare you. You'll spare me? You're in no position to be sparing anyone. You're either a fool or a hopeless optimist. You're not allowed anymore, you have no power. You're just a sick worm. And the counts, they won't be an issue. I'll be taking over for you after all. Ha, is that so? Ha, ha ha ha. And how are you planning to do that? You're a peasant. You never entrusted me with a ring that bears the Banier's family crest. I used that to make myself out to be the successor to the royal family. And what will you do once you've faked your nobility? You have no experience, not the faintest idea how to be a lord. I'm sure I'll govern better than you ever did. Ha 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 ha. You're out of your mind. A peasant like you couldn't govern an empty plot of land. Not that being a noble makes one any more qualified, as you've more than clearly demonstrated, your body. I'll take your seat, and then I'll take the world.
Yo.
Ridiculous.
Take the world.
Think very hard about this, boy. Killing me will be a mistake you can never fix. Put down the sword. Does death threaten you so much you would deign to beg for your life, Lord? Like I said before we began, though, the only way to end this is with one of us dead. I pressed my sword against Banier's nape, then leaned into it hard. The blade sank into his flesh, the gash spreading like a crack in the grass. Girl,
Glass.
Girl, Screams of agony echoed through the hall. All the blood in his body seemed to be trying to escape through the gaping hole, creating an ever-growing pool of red around us. Before longer, you too will be driven to madness. Excuse me? Das haben wir ja gesehen. By the time you've figured out what it means to be a lord, you won't be the kind-hearted friend of the people anymore. Living this life, having no one you can trust, it'll eat away at you, and then you'll... Enough! You'll be your own executioner! Enough! Ha 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 ha! I'll be waiting for you. No. Down in hell. Boah. Here.
Okay, Zensurfreunde.
Here. Every guide and every rabbi. I've here the Lord's pets taken by my own hands. You have no reason to fight any longer. Put down your arms, all of you, and cease this meaningless battle or revolution has come to pass. In less than a day's time, Lord's manor had fallen. And by the time it was all over, it felt almost underwhelming how completely and utterly we had conquered them. Men cheered and shouted in celebration. Others borrowed suits of armor and pretended to be knights. A fire of a different color filled the manor's walls. Shit. They believed that, with the Lord's death, everything would suddenly be better for everyone. That nobody would have to suffer anymore. That they would all be happy and live perfectly fulfilling lives. They had no logical reason to believe as such. Yet no one seemed to doubt it in the slightest. Everyone seemed to have forgotten that enacting and change required work, and there was still much of that to be done. The entire rest of the day the men partied and celebrated, paying no heed eat to the corpse's strewn about the property. Even the injured joined in, nothing could stand in the way of their merrymaking. They raised goblets to my great accomplishments, and I smiled along, though their fiery passion could not penetrate the cold bubble that had formed around me. The only real fervor I had felt all day was while I crossed swords with Banya. Now my head was surprisingly clear. Perhaps clear wasn't quite right. It was stagnant. I felt as though I were suspended in a dark sludge. Banya's dying words hovered around me. By the time I figured out what it meant to be a lord, I wouldn't be the kind of friend of the people anymore, he had said. That I would have no one to trust. That it would eat away at me, drive me mad. And then I would be my own executioner. Again and again I tried to tell myself that I wasn't like him, that I wouldn't end up like him. But his voice, his curse, refused to leave me. Images of his decapitated head flashed through my mind. I couldn't shake the feeling that one day that would eventually be my head.
Das Blut auf seiner Necke. Mhm. Well, there you are, kid. Been wondering where you ran off.
Two.
Oh,
Gratian.
How goes it? That you're in the face of a man who just pulled up a goddamn revolution. Your wound hurting? I've got something that can make the pain go away if you want some. Ah, there we go. Here she is. Take one of these leaves and grind it up the back of your mouth. You should start tingling right at the back of your head in no time. And then all the pain's gone, like it was never there. It's some pretty great shit. If you don't mind getting a little loopy for a bit anyway. But after all that, it ain't like you're gonna need to think straight for a while. So what do you say? Take a few?
I think I'll pass. It does hurt, but I can handle it.
Then why the long face? You're a hero now. People are gonna be looking up to you. And that ain't a great look. What's with the big rock? I don't remember seeing this here before.
Please don't touch it. His giant's gravestone.
Ah, so that's what got you down in the dumps, huh? I mean, I get it. I sure as hell didn't see that one coming either. Ja, wir schon.
Ja, wir haben's seit 10 Let's Plays.
Ja, wirklich. Kann man Sharon introduce wurde vor.
Ja, 7 Let's Plays oder so, ich weiß nicht ganz genau.
Talk about a shocker. Sweet little thing like her in the bed with the Lord. Women can be fucking scary creatures at times. I don't even want to think about what kind of shit she was scheming while she got all chummy with us.
There was no mask, no facade, no scheming. She was always just being herself.
You out of your mind, kid? She played us for months. Not the tiniest hint. If that ain't a facade, I don't know what is.
She never believes herself to belong to us. Assuming Jaren genuinely didn't grasp the concept of sadness or fear, that she was incapable of experiencing negative emotions, then it does kind of add up. She loved a lot while also enjoying her time with us. To her, they weren't mutually exclusive. To her, feeling both was not wrong.
Well, it looks like you're a lot better at arithmetic than me. Cause that don't come close to end up in my head. Or maybe you just don't want to accept that it was all a big fat lie.
Perhaps. I'm not Jaren, and I don't know what she had with the Lord, so all I can do is speculate. And perhaps I do merely want to believe that she was part of the family. Gratian, could I ask you to keep this from Maria and the other girls?
Yeah, sure.
Regardless of what Jaren's actual feelings were, I don't see any reason to sully their memory of her.
Fair enough, I guess. But like the dead can make their own case. So the least we can do for the ones they had left behind, is not taint their memory. Unless someone knows how to bring him back to this.
Indeed.
You sure everything's good, kid?
What are you so concerned about?
I mean, this is yours now. When we leave, you'll be staying here. And I just want to make sure you're really up for it. If you want, I could take your place.
Pardon?
If you think being in charge will be too much to handle, I'll gladly take it off your shoulders. Hell, we both know I'm more of a fighter than you. I could have taken Barnier out without him getting so much a scratch in on me. What do you say? I'll do it.
Don't be stupid. The whole city would be savages by year's end if you were in charge.
Yeah. Hey, just offering you a way out, kid.
It's my burden to bear. I have no intention of passing it off. I'll have myself back in order by tomorrow.
Well, if you say so. But don't forget, you're in this for the long haul.
Don't worry, I can handle it.
So, do you have any specific plans moving forward? The woman you were conspiring with, Ginevra, was it? They offed her, didn't they?
Yeah, off-screen. She was hardly the only noble hoping to see Barnier overthrown. I'll have to start by building up a solid foundation of supporters among the nobility.
Do we really need the Dick Squad on our side, though? Why don't we just cut ourselves off from all that crap and start our own country? A place just for us. No royalty or nobility to rob us blind. Just our city.
That would be ideal, but unfortunately it isn't quite so simple. We can't just overthrow the Lord, take over the city and build a big wall around the borders without a clear legitimate transfer of power. The neighboring counts will undoubtedly intervene.
So we fight back. What's the problem?
Our little band of peasants was only able
Peasants.
was only able to take down the Lord because we had the element of surprise. But what happens when a trained, organized army marches on our borders? You don't need me to answer that for you.
Sure. This world's kind of a massive bitch, huh? But it's a hell of a lot better than having old Barney in power, I guess. You'll change things for the better, though, won't you?
You have my word.
Great. Soldier couple. I know we'll be parting ways here soon and all, but I want you to know, I'll never forget this day. We crashed the gates of hell together and made the devil our bitch. It doesn't matter how far apart we are, nothing will ever change what we've been through. So let's make the city into the best goddamn city around. You from the top, me from the bottom.
Yes, let's. It's a great comfort to know I have you down there. I have a good deal of trust in you.
I won't disappoint you, kid.
Ja, ist ja nicht so, als würde er vielleicht in der Zukunft ihn köpfen wollen. Weil es ist ja so, Jokobot erzählt, they didn't see it in the long run. Er musste erst mal alles aufbauen und konnte erst ihnen dann später helfen. Und die wollten aber jetzt schon die Hilfe haben. Deswegen haben sie ihn assassinaten wollen.
And don't you ever hesitate to give me a shout if you need something. When we first met, I kinda wanted to throw you off a cliff. And you still rubbed me the wrong way sometimes. But I also consider you one hell of a partner. And I mean that.
Clay, weil er das so sagt, ist er dieser Typ, der ihn assassinaten wollte später.
We risk our lives for each other. Brothers in arms.
Jo,
Das ist so.
Straits.
Yeah.
I thank you. I too consider you a good comrade. You and the rest of the gang.
Aha. I was beginning to think you'd never come out and say it. Now, remember, kid, don't you let us down with this, or you'll be hearing from us. Capiche? I know you can do it.
I won't let you down. Ja, eben. Aber er hat halt so Jahre gebraucht, um das erstmal so alles aufzubauen, deswegen. It'll all go fine, I have allies. Friends I can count on. With their help I can change things for the better. I can believe in myself. I can do this, I have no reason to think otherwise. This fluttering in my stomach is nothing to be concerned about. When that fated night came to an end, the vast, bright blue sky of morning greeted me. I looked up at the sky, standing in the manor that still reeked of blood, and Morgana filled my thoughts. If she were here now, what would she say to me? Congratulations. It was so unlikely, a little love. She would undoubtedly criticize me for seizing power for such violent means. Hers would twist it into a skull, and she would damn me to hell for the 1000th time. She would tell me what I had done was extremely foolish. But perhaps she would also express some concern about my injuries. That was all in my own imagination, though. She would never be at my side again. We would never look up at the same sky again. I would never hear her sing again. My old life was gone, a relic of the past. It would never be the same again. Not without the girl I loved being a part of it. Part 1, Tales of this Past End. Dachte ich mir schon.
Ich dachte,
Ja, okay, Freunde, da würde ich sagen, oh, a Requiem for Innocence Interlude. Was heißt Interlude?
ich glaube, es ist so ein Zwischenteil, oder? Interlude? Kann das sein?
Jo.
Tja.
Aber das sehen wir alles erst nächstes Mal, Freunde. Interlude, not a sorrow in the world. Das ist safe, über...
Zwischenspiel heißt das.
Ja, das ist safe über Jaren. 100%. Not a sorrow in the world heißt das. Weil
Okay.
vor allem bei ihr so, weil die keine Negative Emotions hat. Ja, Freunde, ich würde sagen, das sehen wir nächstes Mal dann. Sehr geil. War das Soundtrack?
Mhm.
Anyway, Freunde, lasst eine Arbeit da passt das Video, abonniert den Kanal, aktiviert die Glocke und ja, sehr geile Folge. Ich hab Bock nächstes Mal noch mit dem Soundtrack auch und ja, Freunde, Wiederschauen und
Ja.
ciao.